A very good evening all of you and welcome to another episode of Boost Your Vocabulary on Pratham Test Prep's YouTube channel. How are you all doing? आज आपके घर में काफ़ी सारी festivities हो रही होंगी, especially your moms and your fathers getting included in the whole thing today. So today we're going to be starting with 5 things. Now 5 things will not be words today, actually like words in the sense of we'll be doing a lot of phrases, and when I talk about those phrases I will be necessarily looking at British phrases, like the phrases that you hear mostly from Britishers or in British English mostly, right? So we're going to be looking at 5 of those, and I hope that by the end of this video you'll be able to use those 5 phrases in your day-to-day language, so as to not just to sound more sophisticated, but also like sound more efficient in your language, because the idea isn't just about cracking your entrances, it's also building your personality. So I'm just going to help you today with 5 words, 5 phrases that will help you to sound more efficient in English, and of course in that turn help you with your entrances, help you with your interviews and your personality all in all. Okay, so we're going to start with the first phrase for the day. So I'm going to just very quickly show you. The first is deadpan expression. That's our first phrase, right? So what do you mean by deadpan expression? I hope you also are aware of something called a poker face, right? Do you know what poker face is? Like, that's something that you might have heard of earlier as well. It's not something new. So poker face and deadpan expression are the same things. It's basically an expressionless face. It's a face where you're just trying to hide your emotions, hide any sort of like a pinch of emotions also not shown on your face. That kind of thing is a deadpan expression, or also in normal language we also call them a straight face, right? That's another thing. So and when do we generally use this more than others is if you have a deadpan expression, essentially you're trying to write kind of hide your humor. Like, that's the idea behind a deadpan expression. When you are kind of like कोई joke सुना रहे हो आप, और आप dry humor sort of a thing. So something that Abhishek Upmanyu does, like if you've watched any of his stand-up comedies, you'd know that he says everything with a very straight face, right? He doesn't smile, he doesn't laugh at his own jokes. That is called a deadpan expression. Okay, so a lot of times this expression or this phrase is used when you are kind of telling a joke and you want to just kind of see and seem like you're just, it's like a passing comment, but it's actually a joke, right? So that's dry humor. That's when you use deadpan expression mostly. So it's an expressionless face or a straight face. So sentence wise, if you look at it, it says she said everything with a deadpan expression. That means whatever she was saying, there was really no sign of any emotion on her face. There was barely any expression on her face. That is what deadpan expression is, right? That's our first idiom or phrase, essentially used by Britishers, but and in British English, but you can definitely use it in your normal day-to-day lives now. Let's head to the second expression or second phrase for the day, which is called wing it. Now it's something that you might have heard of, just wing it, right? But the idea behind it is to do something without much practice or any rehearsal. सिंपलर टर्म्स में या इजी लैंग्वेज में बोला जाए तो इम्प्रॉम्प्टू कुछ करना, राइट? इम्प्रोवाइज करना, दैट्स ऑल्सो अनदर वर्ड दैट यू माइट बी अवेयर ऑफ. सो when you're improvising, extemporizing, or you're just kind of you're not rehearsing anything and you're just performing impromptu, that's what wing it is. एक और हमने पहले किया था, so I'm going to just write it here. To do something off hand, ये भी हम पहले कर चुके हैं. This is a word that we have done before, just called off hand करना. That is again winging it, improvising it, extemporizing it. Also, this idiom that we had done was when I was talking about offhand with you earlier. The played by the ear is an idiom that you might have heard of. So played by the ear again is when you're just doing something without practice, without preparation, या फिर कोई भी रिहर्सल नहीं हुई, कोई भी प्लानिंग नहीं हुई, and you're just doing it on the spot. That's what wing it is, okay? So sentence wise, I hadn't practiced the part, so I got up there and winged it. That means मैंने कुछ practice नहीं करी, कोई rehearsal नहीं करी, and I just went there and I kind of winged it. That means I did it out of just impromptu and improvised. So that's our second phrase which you can use in your normal day-to-day life, winging it. Okay, let's head to the third phrase for the day. And also, by the way, I don't know how many of you are aware of this. There is this influencer on Instagram whose name is Ankush Bahuguna. Uska Instagram handle hai, by the way, with that name, wing it. So if not, if you've heard of that, maybe use that as one of your ways to remember this phrase. But on the other hand, it's just something like, it's a phrase that you can use casually, but it's an informal phrase, so maybe not use it in an official situation. At that point of time, you can use words like improvise and extemporize, but it's a casual word, so I would tell you to refrain from using it in an official scenario or an official setup. Okay, so let's go to the third phrase for the day. It's called have someone in stitches. Now this is a very common idiom, especially among Britishers, right? This is a very, very common idiom. And to have someone in stitches is to basically make them laugh out loud and uncontrollably. Like, you're laughing extremely hard. That is what having someone in stitches means. Or another way of saying it, there's another idiom which is called bringing the house down. When you're bringing the house down, that's also another idiom for the same thing, when people laugh uncontrollably, or when the audience goes clapping and roaring, clapping and laughing because they enjoyed a set piece or a stand-up, etc. That's what's having someone in stitches or bringing the house down basically is, to laugh uncontrollably, to guffaw. Laughing uncontrollably का एक और word है जो I don't know if I've done it with you or not, but guffawing is basically laughing really loudly. So maybe through that you can remember this word. Guffawing is laughing really loudly. So having someone in stitches is basically making them guffaw. That means making them laugh really loudly. So sentence wise, we can, and pardon my voice today, but sentence wise it says he was telling jokes at the dinner table that had us all in stitches. That means he was telling a lot of jokes. He was probably, being very funny at the dinner table, and people started laughing really loudly, or guffawing, or laughing uncontrollably, or that he brought the house down. Right? So all of these phrases are helpful when you are, again, this is an idiom which you can use both in formal and informal settings and contexts, because it's an idiom, so you can use it anywhere. And so this is a good one. Like, make sure that you're using this in your normal life. This is in fact kind of different from the usual, so this might just help you sound a little more efficient in the language. Let's go to the fourth idiom for the day. Actually, not an idiom, next one is just a word. It's called knackered. Again, a very British thing to say. Knackered basically means exhausted, right? When you're like dead tired, extremely worn out, tired out, extremely enervated, that means you're lacking energy now, and that you're done for the day. Okay, so another word for it is done for. When you are done for, that means you're like completely tired, you've given out. That's when you can use the word knackered. So exhausted, worn out, completely wearied, enervated, that means you're very, very dead tired. That's knackered. So sentence wise, this week has really knackered me. That means it has really made me dead. It's enervated me, it's worn me out. So if you've just had your exams, you can definitely say, that your exam time knackered you, or studying for that long time knackered you, right? So another way of saying it is, I am knackered. That means I'm completely exhausted, right? I'm knackered by my exams, I'm knackered because of the week's hard work, or just in general, you're knackered. That's how we say it. That's our fourth idiom, right? So make sure, I'm not an idiom word, but it's a different kind of word. You don't hear a lot of this in general, so make sure you are using this in your vocabulary to just kind of sound a little smarter than others. But so this is when you say I'm exhausted, meaning I'm knackered. Okay, let's go to the last word for the day, which is chuffed. Now, when you call somebody chuffed, you're basically saying you're very pleased. Okay. Another idiom for being very pleased is called tickled pink. So this is an idiom that I think I've done a couple of times in classes as well. Like if you are completely pleased, very happy, you feel nice and pleasant about something, you say that you are chuffed. Another way of saying it is if you're very, very pleased, you say you're chuffed to bits. Okay, this means very pleased. A lot of times people say dead chuffed. That's a slightly informal way of saying it. So dead chuffed is very, very informal and an extremely slang way of saying it. So maybe not that, maybe just say you're chuffed in general, like you're very pleased. Chuffed to bits also kind of like an informal way of saying it. So let's not say chuffed to bits in an official scenario. Chuffed in general is okay. So when you're chuffed, you're very pleased, you're tickled pink, you feel happy about something, you feel merry about something, something has really moved you to, happiness. So that's what chuffed is. So I'm chuffed to bits that I won. That means I'm extremely pleased. I'm tickled pink. That's a very sweet and again a very rare idiom. So maybe use it in your daily life that you're tickled pink. That means you're very happy and you're very pleased. So that is that. So you're feeling nice, you're feeling good. You feel whatever has happened is good. Right? So that's chuffed. Those were the 5 idioms. I hope now that you use it in your normal daily life and make sure that you're using them in general, but make sure also that you understand the context. So some of these will work in your normal scenarios, but some may not work in an official scenario. So choosing which one should be used when is a very important task that you have to do on your own. So like for example, I said dead shaft is not good for a formal setting, so don't use it there. Similarly, knackered is an informal word, so don't use it there. So make sure you kind of settling and understanding that. Naman says, ma'am, please explain. Dead shaft. Dead shaft is extremely pleased, but it's an informal way of saying it, right? So don't say it in an official setting where you're like sitting in front of your bosses or sitting in front of the panel, interview panel, etc. Don't say I'm dead chuffed that you selected me. Say you're chuffed. That's formal, but this means extremely chuffed, which you shouldn't be using in an interview situation or a formal situation. Okay. Alright, so that's all the 5 words that I needed to do. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you've taken note of all the 5 phrases and words. Make sure you're using them in your normal language. Also make sure you've subscribed to the channel. We will see you on Saturday with another episode of Boost Your Vocabulary. Until then, I hope you take care of yourselves. There are a lot of things coming over in front of you, like in terms of festivities, etc. So brace yourself, be happy, and have a very, very good night. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.